I have a question, guys. Who's up for reading a Terf blog? Anybody? Anybody? Who's up for the story of why I'm reading a Terf blog? I'm sure some of you might want that. So I was browsing Twitter, and I don't remember where the actual post was, but there was a post that had a whole bunch of tweets, and one of them, it was one of the 4 pictures in each side, and one of the tweets, let me see if I actually have it here. I might have grabbed it specifically for this. Ah! I think I found it. I believe it's right here. It's interesting and also very embarrassing how anime seems to function as this sort of foreign boogeyman for people who seek to pathologize and stigmatize transness, often without having the slightest clue as to what anime entails. So, I got curious about each of these because I was at the gym and I needed something to do while I was on the treadmill. And I saw this post here from Ray Blanchard. I didn't know who this person was. And so I did a little digging and found that they apparently are a vocal activist against trans people and really likes using slurs to describe them. But said an essay on the possible relations among anime, gender, dysphoria, and autogynephilia, for those who know what that is, which is basically the theory, I'm not using the word theory in any way that has any weight, that the reason that trans people transition is because they want to masturbate to the thought of themselves having a vagina. That's what they want. That's what the autogynephilia idea is. It's bullshit. It doesn't have any actual basis in reality, and none of our research actually shows that that's the case for the majority of trans people. But apparently, the idea of somebody going, I'd like to fuck myself if I were prettier is apparently the prevailing idea for a lot of TERFs. So, I wanted to find out where this was, because there's these other posts here, and I wasn't super concerned with them. It's not that they don't have concerning things in there. This one was funny. I want to read it to you before we go further, actually.
Let's talk about the transgender connection to anime, porn, pedophilia, and autogynephilia. If you have the courage, search up futa porn. This is significant to those with anime avatars that constantly ask for Patreon donations. Anime porn is significant to gender ideology.
My channel has nothing to do with anime porn, and I still would like Patreon donations. Thank you, bye. I'm just kidding. I literally have a person who does animations for my channel who's a porn artist. I'm actually lying to you right now. There's actually porn of me on the internet, like a substantial amount of it now, apparently. But this shit, I wonder, if you look up futa porn, what are you going to find? Will you possibly find pornography? Weird. So strange, when I looked up hentai, I found hentai on the internet. That's, awkward. But so I wanted to find this article here on masculinity, anime, and gender dysphoria from a person called Social Justice Wizard. So, I'll take you on the journey that I went on. We go masculinity, anime, and let's see here, and it's on and gender dysphoria. So, and this was on Medium. So I went over to Medium, and this is not the right one. Here we go. So I went onto the Medium link, and 410, this account is under investigation and was found in violation of the Medium rules. Huh, that's interesting. I just wanted another article to talk about because I figured it would be important to this conversation. And then I was like, okay, why don't we go instead to Feminist Wiki? And so I went here, and I found the article. It's fairly long, but I decided, actually, no. I thought that this was an article written by Ray Blanchard, because that's what it seemed like, but following the tweet and everything, it seems that that was not the case. And I saw this was posted in 2019, and as everybody knows on the internet, if it was anything besides in the last, couple weeks, it didn't exist anymore. So I was like, okay, cool. So we have a blog of that wizard guy. So I figured I would do a little digging on that wizard guy. And it turns out that that wizard guy doesn't go by social justice wizard or that wizard guy anymore. They go by the name Talon now. A different name to better reflect themselves. And I wanted to go ahead and take a look at some of the other stuff that they have posted. Also, Fenekagami, thank you for resubscribing. I wanted to take a little bit of time to look at some of the other stuff that they had posted, and I found this, a post from a few months ago, 2023, called On Being Kind or Unkind. And I have some opinions on how to be kind to trans people, so I figured this couldn't hurt. What's the worst that could happen? And, well, let's go ahead and do some reading, shall we? Let's go ahead and do some reading. So they changed their name. Does that mean we should call them by their old name? So, it begins by saying, some women say, screw being kind in the face of a culture that expects them to be unrealistically gracious. I think kindness is a very high virtue, and ideally everyone would be kind, but a lot of people have a problematic definition of kindness. Being kind should never require one to completely ignore one's own feelings, completely refuse to speak one's mind, or never dare to express disagreement. Those things aren't kindness. They're submission. So I'm just going to go ahead and pause right now. So let's say you're dealing with somebody who is an absolute racist, right? Their favorite word is the N-word. This person, just curious, is it kindness for this person to not say their mind about black people? Is that the kind thing, or is that submission? Because, like, I think the kind thing is them shutting the absolute fuck up. That's just my thought. If someone who expects kindness from you gives the same kindness back, they would be just as considerate towards your feelings as you are towards theirs. That would allow you to speak your mind just as they speak their mind, and would accept an agreement to disagree when they notice that your mind is set on a position that is incompatible with theirs. Again, this doesn't work when we are talking about bigotry. If I want to live and you want to kill me, then we don't get to agree to disagree on that. We don't get to agree to disagree on that. That's not a thing we get to agree to disagree on. There are some opinions that it's okay to not agree to disagree on, but to literally go, hey buddy, that's a little fucked up, and I think maybe you should change and grow as a person. A lot. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having a line and saying, if you cross this line, I will be upset and we will have a problem. That's called being a healthy person. Sawara says, also, there's things where they can't be a matter of disagreement. For example, if one person thinks 2 + 2 = -17, they're probably wrong. Yeah, no, you can't agree to disagree on shit like that. You literally just have to go, hey, I'm sorry, but you're wrong, and your wrongness can sometimes actually be damaging. It can just be that. They're using the treat unto others as you would treat them unto you. Yeah, and I don't think that that's a good standard either. I don't. Treat others how they want to be treated, not treat others how you would want to be treated. Because some people are masochistic and want to be harmed and they want bad things to happen to themselves. They want to masturbate and they want the cum to fling into their eye. I don't want that to happen to me, so I don't want that to happen to somebody else. But if somebody is that masochistic, then to do unto others literally means other people can get hurt too, because that's what you wanted, right? But if they have a humiliation kink, then we're not talking about them. So, we go to continue. Now we get to the part talking about trans people. Trans activists speak a lot about kindness. They say that feminists are being very unkind when they oppose this, or that aspect of the transgender movement. This is what happens when I haven't pre-read an article, by the way. That was supposed to be this or that, not this, comma, or that. Turns out I'm really bad at my job. But that's going to develop into a tick. I need to stop that. Oftentimes, they fail at the very basic forms of giving back that kindness they expect from others. But there are also issues beyond that. If one asked a male person identifying as a trans woman, that's a long sentence to just say a woman. That's a long sentence when you could have just said woman.
Who is convinced by contemporary transgender ideology,
Also known as the science of being trans,
why he,
also known as she,
won't consider the feelings of women who feel uncomfortable around him in public facilities like toilets or changing rooms. It's likely that he will compare this to a white person feeling uncomfortable with a black person using the same facilities as them.
Yeah, and rightfully so. And rightfully so. The separate but equal bullshit was always bullshit. And trying to do the exact same thing when it comes to trans women is also bullshit. I don't expect Saki to go to a men's restroom. She does not look like a man. She does not act like a man. And there is nobody who I have met anywhere in the fucking conservative state of Georgia who has had that opinion. But according to this dillhole, that's what I should expect. That's what we should expect. That's what would be good, according to this person. It's also agitating that so much of this is constantly misgendering even a hypothetical person. It's a hypothetical person that they're still just like, they can't say woman or they can't say trans woman. They have to say he over and over again. Even when it's a made-up person, you still have to be a bigot. It's weird.
I think it's important, as infuriating as this absurd analogy is, it's important to remain calm and make it very clear that their analogy is deeply flawed, to the point of being potentially offensive to black people.
I don't care if it's offensive to black people. I don't care if I'm offensive. If I'm correct, that's what matters. I don't care. I'm sorry, but if the analogy works and it offends you, that is a you problem. Sort it out in therapy.
It's important to remind them that whereas black people were forced to use inferior facilities...
Nope, that was never the argument. Separate but equal was the argument. Do not ahistorical this bullshit.
It's important to remind them that black people were forced to use inferior facilities by a social class that dehumanized them.
What the fuck do you think is happening to trans people? They are a social class that is being dehumanized. We have, like, 7, 8-ish stages of genocide talking about this. What? Okay.
Women are merely asking males,
also known as women,
asking males to use facilities of equal quality so that the women are safer. Original source here.
Let's see what their source is. Is it here? The Times. Oh, okay. This isn't a source, by the way. This is an op-ed article. Our investigation shows single-sex facilities are safer. Okay, cool. We also have evidence. We also have evidence that shows that, and let me see if I can pull this up here, that it turns out that forcing trans women to be in bathrooms that cis males go into all the time actually puts them at a greater risk for sexual assault than cis women are put at a risk for trans women being in their bathrooms. But let me see here. Let me see here if I can grab this. So, if you want to grab a news piece as your piece of evidence, I'll grab a news piece for mine as well. For NBC, there's no link between trans-inclusive policies and bathroom safety. Oh, but it's about a study from UCLA. Why don't we go ahead and look at the study itself? This study linked right here from UCLA. Abstract. Legislation, regulation, litigation, and ballot propositions affecting public restroom access for transgender people increased drastically in the last 3 years because Republicans really wanted to be angry about it. Opponents of gender identity inclusive public accommodations, non-discrimination laws often cite fear of safety and private violations in public restrooms if such laws are passed, because people like Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh told them that was going to happen. If such laws are passed, while proponents argued that such laws are needed to protect transgender people and concerns regarding safety and privacy violations are unfounded, no empirical evidence has been gathered to test such laws' effects. This study presents findings from matched pairs analysis of localities in Massachusetts with and without gender identity inclusive public accommodation non-discrimination ordinances. Data comes in from public record requests of criminal incident reports related to assaults, sex crimes, and voyeurism in public restrooms, locker rooms, and dressing rooms to measure the safety and privacy violations in these spaces. This study finds that the passage of such laws is not related to the number of frequency of criminal incidents in these spaces. Additionally, this study finds that reports of privacy and safety violations in public restrooms, locker rooms, and changing rooms are exceedingly rare. This study provides evidence that fears of increased safety and privacy violations as a result of non-discrimination laws are not empirically grounded. Basically, you're making it up. This is literally just making it up. So, no, cis women are not safer in bathrooms that do not have trans women, but we do have evidence that shows... Oh boy, look at that from Harvard. Transgender teens with restricted bathroom access are at higher risk of sexual assault. Wow, holy shit, we can pull sources. What a weird thing. What a weird world we live in where we can just go on the internet and say, hey, I wonder if there's any evidence to support my claim. Let me just go ahead and Google it real quick and oh, look, there it is. I did that live on stream on a secondary monitor. This is literally source. I made it the fuck up, Jack. Jesus Christ.
The desire of white people to force black people to use inferior facilities.
They're really hammering on the inferior facilities thing. So again, the reality is, yes, the facilities were inferior for black people, but the legislation was called separate but equal. The legislation was built around the idea that the facilities would be different, but of the exact same quality. We know from, hindsight, that was not the case. But at the time, that was the argument in legislation. So to argue otherwise is ahistorical.
Whereas the desire of women to have male-free spaces is based on the need to have safety from such a class of people that frequently sexually assaults them. The way in which a male person identifies is of no relevance at all in this case. Actually, it is. Again, we have source here for that. It's for that purpose. It's what it's for. I don't know what to tell you.
Looking at it, transgender and non-binary teens face a greater risk of sexual assault in schools that prevent them from using bathrooms or locker rooms consistent with their gender identity. Researchers took a look at data from a survey of nearly 3,700 United States teens aged 13 to 17. The study found that 36% of transgender or gender non-binary students with restricted bathroom or locker room access reported being sexually assaulted in the last 12 months. 36%! 36%! That's the number you're looking at. That's the number of trans people you want to throw under the bus. Almost fucking half of them. But don't worry. It's okay. Your ideology is definitely based in sound facts, logic, and not alarmism.
If one asks the same male person why a feminist should not be allowed to speak her mind on trans women being men...
Oh, no, you're allowed to speak your mind. I'm just allowed to say you're wrong. And I'm allowed to use a very offensive British term to describe you. But not here. Not now. Only when I accidentally say it in Minecraft.
One is likely to hear a similar analogy. Supposedly, it would be like a white person speaking their mind on seeing a black person as inferior. Again, I think it's very important to face this frustrating claim head on and make it clear how irrational and wrong it is.
No. If I look at Jesse Lee Peterson and say, hey, you're a white supremacist and also a fucking moron, it has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with him being black. He's just stupid. He has an ideology that I left behind a very long time ago, and he's very dumb.
To state that a person is a man is not dehumanizing, unless one believes men to be subhuman.
No, to state somebody is something that they're not is not dehumanizing. If you tell me I'm black, I'll tell you you're wrong. If you tell me I'm a woman, I'll tell you you're wrong. That's how this works. If somebody does not want to be called something that they are not, or that they do not feel that they are, they don't identify as, what have you, don't care, then that is degrading. It doesn't have to be dehumanizing for it to be degrading.
The statement, trans women are men, could be hurtful to somebody who feels very strongly about the opposite, but it is absolutely not a dehumanizing statement.
It is, though. You are stripping somebody of their identity. You are taking away a part of their humanity, that identity, that feeling of being a woman, that feeling of being a man, that feeling of being that person. That is, in fact, it is a degrading statement that can move into dehumanization if it is allowed to repeat over and over and over again.
It would, of course, be unkind to repeat any statement continuously in the presence of somebody who is offended by that statement, regardless of what the statement is. But if one is having a discussion specifically on the topic of transgender issues, and a person freely expresses their opinion that an anatomically male-born person cannot be a woman, this cannot be considered unkind in and of itself.
Yes, it is, because you're jacking yourself off. That's what you're doing. JAQ, just asking questions, you're just jacking yourself off. These types of people like to pretend that, no, we're just engaging in... We're just doing a ripscallion good job of engaging in very, very important academic work right now. We're having an academic discussion at the moment. That's not what's happening, though. They're not having an academic discussion. They're masking bigotry behind the idea of having an academic discussion. That's very, very different. It's not even very sneaky. It looks very sad, actually. But okay.
The contemporary transgender movement that holds sway over the liberal mainstream has posited statements of disagreement with them as unkind at best and severely discriminatory and dehumanizing at worst. It's important to explicitly call out these arguments and explain in rational terms how wrong
the maker of this article is. Hey, so, this is awkward. Apparently, the video died, and my OBS crashed at the end of it, and it was literally as I was ending the video, and I was going to spend some time chatting with stream, and then doing the stream with Vice Rhino like I normally do. That didn't happen. I went on Vice Rhino's channel, but the video is... It's kind of chopped off now. There's supposed to be an insert end to video tagline and a further discussion about the stuff that was talked about in the article, and instead there's just me kind of awkwardly sitting here at 10:42 p.m. right after the Vice Rhino stream, letting you guys know, hey, OBS broke. So, I mean, the video's over. I don't know why you're here still. I mean, I appreciate it. Don't get me wrong. Like, YouTube watch time is how I afford nachos. So, like, you can stay here and pay for my nachos. Is that a GG? No, that's not. This is a GG, though. You can stay here and say hi to GG. She's cute. Fairly certain, according to some people. And me, when my allergies are not doing it. You guys know I keep a thing of Kroger brand disinfecting wipes here that's almost out because I have to disinfect me and everything after my cats are on me and everything. Because allergies suck. I'm going to do that after this video. I don't need to record that. Anyway, bye. We're going to the Patreon slide area. If you're wondering why there's not fan art on the last few episodes, it's because there's only 2 pieces of fan art left in the fan art section, so I'm gonna wait until a little more piles up in there, and then we'll start putting it up again. I might just do like 1 feature fan art from now on, because putting fan art at the end of the videos seems to have lowered the amount of fan art that is brought in, which kind of sucks. I really appreciate seeing it all the time, but I do understand the incentive is lower when it's at the end of videos, and fewer people watch till the end of videos. I'm really not helping this at all by putting all of this fluff at the end of the video. Anyway, credits! Hey, I just quickly want to give a thank you to all of my wonderful patrons who keep this show running. YouTube and Twitch are a pretty bumpy ride at the best of times, and the stability a Patreon provides me is worth more than I can say here. I'd also like to thank each and every one of my $20 and up patrons here, and they would be Red Joker, Britzkrieg, Cameron, Dren, Jemshin, Smiling DM, Poundini, Mabbity Babbity, Naomi, Isaac, Agamotto, Jordan, Ravi, Giuni, Kiratorian, Prisma, all of you, I'm not saying that part, and Starlight. And finally, thank you to everyone else that helps keep this channel alive. While you're here, why not check out another video? And thank you for watching.